Hello and welcome to the third exioNcast. This game is going to be a PvZ, and it's going to feature exioNCourage up against Yekke. This is, again, a ladder match, so it's not part of any tournament or any league or anything like that. This is just a good old ladder match. So let's get started. The map is Cloud Kingdom. In the top right we have exioNCourage, and in the bottom left, playing Zerg, we're going to have a Yekke. Again, it's going to be on Cloud Kingdom, and for PvZ, there's a lot more discussion about whether or not this map is super favored for Protoss, because certainly in the early and the mid game, it's a very, very nice map. This right here makes Forge expanding very easy, as it creates a nice little choke for you with the terrain. And then your third base is relatively easy to secure compared to some other maps, and more importantly, it's close to your main and your natural. What you're going to see most people do is making a sim city with gateways along up here, and that just closes this whole area off, so you can set your Blink, Stalker, Sentry, Immortal, whatever you've got going, you can sit it right here, and you can swing down here to defend this natural, or swing up here to defend this third. And if anything flies in your base, like mutas or overload drops, you can blink up the cliff and be ready to defend. So a very defense-oriented map. However, to the same token, once Zerg gets Broodlords out, in a vast majority, there are a lot of great places to engage with them, or to not be engaged. In other words, like, you can't blink Stalkers under these big area, these big wide open airspaces here, as well as this cliff on the other side, and yeah, just this area here. And the main thing that can stop a Broodlord push is getting a good blink under and focusing down the Broodlords. However, if they're situated in this area, you need to have air units to take them down. And if you're going to fight them air versus air, and you didn't know that a Broodlord push was coming, you're pretty screwed. As for the openings, I believe this was a 14 pool here for Yekke, and a Forge first expand for Courage. Not a Nexus first, nothing too greedy. Just getting that Forge up. I'm not a huge fan of building the cannon before the gateway. I think these Zerglings aren't going to be here in time to be of any threat. However, that is more a personal preference thing than anything. It's not super impactful on the matchup. So throwing down a pylon here at the natural, just being annoying. That is pro over here as well, but a Zergling comes, chases it off. And this isn't any sort of rush. This is just to delay the Zerg from getting this hatchery up at a decent time. You'd rather spend the 100 minerals and have that hatchery, come 30 seconds later, or however much later it is. And because of this, his Nexus is going to finish far before the hatchery does, and that's always a nice little win. Because income doesn't depend only on how many workers you have, but also how many patches they have to mine from. So he's going to be able to make use of all these extra mineral patches far sooner than the Zerg is. However, to the same note, Zerg will have this third set of mineral patches at a time when the Protoss only has 2, so it does balance out. Going for that Cybercore right away. Probably see him start a Zealot. There it is. He's got the 2 gas up in his main. And this is basically your cookie cutter Protoss opening. From here, you sort of diverge into many different things. It's like a tree, but this is almost always the trunk of the tree. You're going to have your Cybercore coming, you're going to have a gateway, you're going to have a cannon, and you're going to have those 2 gas. You can add the 3rd and the 4th gas right away. You can only add 1 more gas. You go Stargate, you go Blink, DTs, Robo. It's very, very wide open from here. And this is why it's so common to see the Zergs do a double Overlord sacrifice at around the 8 or 9 minute mark. Simply because they know that this is about the time when a Protoss is going to be revealing their tech path. And they can just get those Overlords in there. Now he's going before 8 minutes, and that's totally fine too. Because this is going to help you see any sort of more early, pure gateway all-in. Or a really quick 4-gate. However, Courage, a bit of a mishap here. Actually quite a huge one. He's researching Hallucination instead of Warp Gate. That's really a bad mistake to make. And not only is it easy to make because the icons sit next to each other in the tooltip box, but the two hotkeys, G and H, are actually right next to each other on your keyboard. So it's really like Blizzard really wanted you to misclick your warp chain. They put in multiple ways for that to happen. Anyway, he was planning on going for a 4-gate, and the 4-gate probably would have done some good damage as he'd be warping in Zealots right about now, and the Roach Warren is only halfway done. But when he realizes that, he backs right out. Just says, okay, screw this. This isn't gonna work. Throwing down the 3rd and the 4th gas. Gotta have a nice gas flow to get those sentries up. Sentries are the main defensive tool that the Protoss has against the Zerg arsenal, and really in all matchups. Force field just very powerful at blocking off the enemy army, creating little choke points for your zealots to fight in places where there might not otherwise be a choke, and all these things. So Courage is just going to back out of this and go for a macro game. He's going to get that Twilight Council for Blink, that Robo for Immortals and Observers, and then he'll be looking to take his 3rd base as well. So just situated here, sitting back and doing his macro thing, and on the Zerg end of things, he is getting melee attacks as opposed to ranged attacks, so this means to me he's going to go for more Zergling heavy play than Roach heavy play, and we're not going to be seeing that Stefano quote-quote Roach max out build that has been oh so popular for the past 4 months or so. All these Zerglings here is just patrolling around the map, looking for pylons, anything like that. Doesn't want any proximity pylons up close to him. So if Courage were to go for something like Dark Templar, they're going to have to walk all the way across the map instead of spawning nice and close to the Zerg space. But nothing of the sort. He is indeed going for the 3rd base, starting his +2, getting Immortals, adding on more gateways, and just going for the long game. Upon seeing this, there are really 2 options you have as a Zerg player. When you see the Protoss taking his 3rd, that is, you can take your own 4th, or you can try and break the 3rd. And for a very long time, the go-to approach was simply to break the 3rd. However, now that Protoss players are getting a bit more comfortable with holding off these kind of aggressions, people are starting to take the 4th base and just go right into Hive Tech, just straight for it. And that's probably going to be what Yekke does. He does have that infestation pit already, although he looks to be making a nice group of infestors with this pathogen glands, which it means when the infestors spawn, they're going to have enough energy for fungal right off the bat. So it's always very good to get that. And also what players will do is they'll time out their infestors so that they spawn right as pathogen glands is done. That way they have all that extra energy to make fungal growths, and this can be very key in holding off 2-base all-ins. However, there is no super fast hive, so he's going to want to get up that nice little group of infestors and be safe against gateway timings. And you know, even after securing the 3rd, Protoss can still go for a gateway timing. I mean, you don't know what's going on in here, because your overlords, by this time there's going to be enough stalkers and sentries out to shoot them down, so you have to cover all your bases, and Yekke's doing a very good job of doing that. Very Zergling heavy. I mean I have, but it's very uncommon to see so many Zerglings. Usually people are going to want to depend a lot more on those roaches, but Yekke, he's happy with those Zerglings. I mean, the way that I think it's the strongest is with double evolution chambers. And, oh, excuse me, there he does have double evolution chambers. So, yeah, it's going for a very nice strategy. Very Zergling heavy. And this can often transition very well into Ultralisks, because in the early and mid game you're going to hold off attacks with your heavily upgraded Zerglings. They're going to have 1-1 or 2-2. And also the armor upgrades are very important on them, because when Zealots get +1, they 2-shot Zerglings. But if the Zerglings have +1 armor, it still takes 3 shots. So you can't really stand against Zealots without getting those upgrades. But in the late game, Zergs, they like to go very heavy Ultralisk and turn all their Zerglings into Banelings and go for this really sort of new style that TSL Simple first made popular, where you get the Fungals off on the Protoss army, and then they can't make force fields because of the Ultralisks, and then Banelings just roll in and destroy everything. And it's really, really cool to watch it happen. Although, looks like he's going to be going for Greater Spire after all. Maybe getting so many Zerglings is to try and trick out the Protoss into thinking it's going to be Ultralisks 100% and have them overmake robotics units and not have what they need to stop it. However, he is just going straight for Broodlords. Finding this probe down here on the bottom of the map, cleaning it up. Look at the worker count. Zerg, he's at that money number of 80 drones. Not quite, I mean, I'd like to see about 4 more, go up to 82, but that's very, very minor. 115 Zerglings out on the map, 9 Infestors, 2 Roaches, and over on Courage's side, 8 Zealots, 2 Immortals, 2 Colossus, 10 Stalkers, 7 Sentries, and 2 High Templar. Nice little infestation there, or corruption, or contaminate, excuse me, on the Forge. And this slows down any upgrade that's going to come here, or anything really. You can use it on a production building, or on a tech building that's upgrading. And while it's scooped up like this, it can't work. So that +3 is going to be delayed just a little bit longer. Courage is starting to get a very scary army here. I mean, a couple of these Colossus swipes and the Zerglings will just disappear. So Yekke is going to have to be very careful. About how he engages this army. And a Burrowed Ling at the 4th base. This is absolutely annoying to deal with. Not much more to say there. I mean, Burrowed Lings, I'm sure every player has had that moment where they're like, great, now let's expand. And then you think you've put it down, and you come back 2 minutes later and you're like, where's my base? I thought I made a base here. But no, Burrowed Ling was there the whole time. And even fungling the observers, so Courage wanting to send that observer back to kill the Zergling, but Yekke having none of that and killing the observer. Spinecrawler wall starting to go up, and when he sees this Spinecrawler wall, he should know that some hive tech is coming. But he won't yet know which form, and it is indeed going to be Greater Spire. 3-2 coming as well for melee and carapace upgrades. That's going to be very strong, and that's also going to benefit the Broodlords indirectly, as the Broodlings themselves use those upgrades. So 3-3 Broodlings compared to 0-0 Broodlings, very noticeable difference. Fungal going down on all of Courage's army, Corruptors coming in, focusing down the Colossus. Zerglings are going to run in now. You need force field in front of your army there. Kind of, but the Archons are blowing up the force fields. So, I mean, he will clean this up, but it's not really the damage he wanted to do. I think he was hoping to do a bit more with this army. But Yekke cleaning it up, and he is going to be able to deny this 4th base. And I guess that is good damage in itself. Broodlords now morphing, but these are too late. He wanted those Broodlords out in time to stop this push, and they are not. Even blinking forward is Courage. He has vision of them, but he's going to need to turn around here. And backing out. So that all in all went very, very well for Courage. He was able to deny the 4th base, he saw the hive tech, and he didn't lose his entire army. All these things are things you want to happen in a push. And now this is going to put him in a position where if he secures his 4th base, he will actually be ahead on bases. Something you never want to have happen if you're the Zerg player. Now at this point, I believe Yekke is being far too bold with these Broodlords. There's really nothing under them to prevent them getting blinked on and killed. And looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. Courage pushing forward and blinks up with his Stalkers, and there's only Zerglings under them. I mean, upgraded Zerglings, they're very good. They can be cost efficient at times, but not enough. You're gonna need more. You're gonna need Infestors or something. Did he lose his Infestors? I suppose he did. Yeah, he's remaking them, so he lost his Infestors in that last fight, and he should not be pushing without those. Broodlord's again getting blinked under, and he's gonna lose all of them. This is game-ending damage right here, taken by Yekke.